Welcome. This is the Scarlet and Rage podcast. I am Michael, the voice of reason, and you know my co-host Jay, the voice of rage. So we are going to get into the NFL Combine tonight. I have been watching and keeping up with that as the weekend has gone on, watching the 40-yard dash times, watching the measurables, as these guys are measuring in, how tall are they? Pavia from Vanderbilt was able to crack 5'10" at the combine, even though he's only 5'9" and 7/8 at senior day. You can get little different measurements like that. So all that kind of stuff is interesting to me. Of course, the verticals and the 40-yard dashes. We're going to get into all the combine stuff, how the Ohio State players did. We had some shining examples of putting up some pretty high-end measurables from some Ohio State guys. But there's a few other things we're going to discuss as well. We are going to talk about a big basketball win that I think some people, maybe many people in Ohio State, fandom are happy about, but Rage is not happy about it, as you can imagine. He was rooting for them to lose the rest of the games of the season. And then lastly, we are going to have a little movie review of one of the big movies that came out over the weekend. And that movie, I'll just let you guess what we're going to discuss towards the back end of the show. And so that kind of sets up where we're going. We thank you guys for tuning in and coming along with us tonight. And we're going to get going. Rage, how you doing tonight?
Michael, it's been a heck of a weekend and everything. And honestly, dude, I am not doing too well with everything. All things considered, there are a lot of things that upset me in life right now. And I swear, like I say, every time I come on the show, it's rare that I'm in a good mood.
I think you're with your attire tonight, you're sending us some kind of message. So I wonder if that message is you liked the new Scream 7 movie, or maybe you hate it, or maybe you didn't even see it yet. I don't know. But we are going to be reviewing some movie at the end. And so I know part of what you did this weekend, but did you watch a lot of the Combine?
I watched a lot of the Combine, Michael. Of course, this is what this show is all about, isn't it?
Yeah. And so did you watch the basketball game? So that's another thing we're talking about. So I assume you
watched the basketball game, okay. Of course. Yes. I usually put it on my calendar to watch Ohio State and cheer against Ohio State, of course.
What are your thoughts on the Combine in general so far? I know we're going to get into it specifically, but give me just your overall thoughts on what you have seen so far in the NFL Combine. Like just one thing that stands out to you from everything you've watched, and I'll tell you one thing that stands out to me.
Well, let me just take it a step farther back, Michael. And if we're going to get into the Combine right away, one thing that I always respect about the NFL Combine, and I'm not saying any Combine, but the NFL Combine, Michael, I think everyone can agree is that there is no hiding at the NFL Combine in regards to what you are physically, your height, your weight, your arm length, your speed, your twitch, your change of direction. There is no hiding there. You are what you are there. I don't really understand, these players going off and saying oh, I didn't really run well at the NFL Combine. I am going to go run at my pro day and I'm going to do better there. And it's like, well, are you really better just on the environment, or are you actually getting better? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where that fallacy kind of comes into play. And if I'm an NFL scout, I'm like, I don't think I would put as much stock into pro days because I don't believe those are laser timed.
I think another part of it is I think guys are also they're just comfortable. And so I think you have that aspect of it too, that when you go and perform at the Combine, you're going and performing somewhere where everybody else is being herded in there like cattle, and you've got to put up or shut up. Nothing's necessarily familiar around you. You've got cameras everywhere filming you. You're wearing these little tights. You've got people looking on, from all the NFL organizations. And so there's a lot of pressure. And I think there is something to performing in that environment. And in these pro days, they're just nice and comfortable, in their home practice environment, the place they always practice their 40-yard dashes on, the place they run them on every time. And so, certainly I think that plays into why guys like to do that. But I do agree that showing up and performing at the combine, to me, carries more weight than, I'm just going to do my pro day at my university.
Yes, no, I completely agree. I really don't understand the pro days at the university, especially if they're not laser timed. I think, maybe I guess the second tier, third tier players, I guess you can run your little combines there. But, the combine that I'm always paying attention to the most is, the actual NFL combine. So, Michael, I guess we'll just start off with the Ohio State perspective. As we all know, we had quite a few guys that made it over to Indianapolis, which is about 3 hours away from Columbus, 3.5 hours. I actually don't know. 4 hours?
Indy is, I don't know, because I'm about 2 hours from Indy, but I'm down south in Cincinnati area. So yeah, I think Columbus is about that, because Columbus is just straight north of us. Columbus might even be closer.
I don't think so, but I've never been to Indianapolis. You have probably.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I've been to Indianapolis several times.
I've never gone. Never had a reason to go. And with the environment now, Michael, why would I ever go anyway? The Big Ten championship, I mean, it does matter, but it's not like the end all be all anymore. So there's no reason to go unless 2021 happens again and it's hosting a national championship again.
Yeah. I agree. Like, as far as just like going to Indianapolis, I wouldn't have any reason to. I've just had to go through there many times throughout my life and been there for some volleyball tournaments with my daughter. But I just looked up here. So it's actually about 180 or 190 miles from Columbus to Indianapolis. So every bit of probably a bit over 3 hours. So
that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the first player that jumps out on the Ohio State end, Michael, is Alex Sonny Styles. Okay. Just put on an absolute physical specimen show. Like, the guy, I mean, he literally did it all. I think he ran a 4.47 broad jump, or like vertical leap, like 43 inches, and his broad jump was like 11.4, something like that. The guy was a freak of nature at the combine. I guess we'll start there. I don't know if you saw any of his combine, but what stood out to you with him? Were you more surprised, considering he also measured a legit 6'5"? Like, at Ohio State, he was listed at 6'4".
Isn't that crazy?
At the combine, he's actually 6'5".
Isn't that crazy? He's probably one of those guys that
I need to take this off now. This is
Are you going to wear that thing the whole show?
No, I don't think I should. I'm going to take it off.
All right. There he is.
Woo!
So,
sweaty in that thing.
He may have been one of those rare guys that grew an inch after college. I mean, those guys do exist. Jose Canseco grew from 6'1" to 6'4" from the time he was 18 to the time he was 20. David Robinson grew from 6'4" to like 7 foot from the time he was 18 to the time he was 20. So it does happen. And because
Robinson grew that much?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That's why he was released from his naval service, because even though he played at the Naval Academy, because he grew so tall after, they said, well, there's really nothing you can do. Like, we'll just let you go play in the NBA. And so,
okay.
Yeah. And so, it seems like maybe he grew, because I doubt that they got him shorter than he was on the front end, but that was surprising that he was a full 6'5". That is a massive linebacker.
Very massive. I can't remember a linebacker that tall.
They hardly ever are. Most linebackers.
USC actually had a guy that's that tall. Like, he's 6'6", but it's like him and Alex Styles. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, most linebackers, like 6 foot to 6'4", that covers like 99% of the linebackers. I mean, there's not very many guys above 6'4" playing linebacker. But yeah, 6 and number one in the 40-yard dash. And surprisingly, Arvell Reese, running as an edge or a defensive end, he was number one in his group as well. So Ohio State had the number one linebacker and the number one defensive end 40.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty amazing, man. And that,
can I ask you something, Jay?
Yes.
is the fact that Arvell Reese is projected as a top 5 edge, is that a problem? You know, I mean, should we have been, with the fact that we struggled to get pressure at times with 4 down, should he have been just playing more defensive end edge a lot of the year?
You make an interesting point there. And I am going to answer this, but I guess I'll answer it for both of them too. And as we all know, you know, like I said before, the NFL Combine, you are not going to hide in regards to your height, your weight, your length, your speed, your twitch, flexibility, which, by the way, I didn't know they did like some kind of flexibility test. Like Alex Styles has like this broom or something, and he has to like lay flat on the ground on his stomach with something behind him, and he has to lift it off the ground, and they measure how much shoulder flexibility he has. I didn't know that was a thing, but that is a thing, which hey, I'm not going to hate on it. You know, if you're going to be drafting these people, you want to know what they're capable of. So, but there's one thing that the NFL draft doesn't capture, Michael, and I'm sure you may know what that is, but do you?
I'm not sure. Tell me.
It doesn't measure how you play on the field, and it doesn't measure your football instincts.
Yep.
So let's talk about these two players, shall we? Alex Styles was always a freak athlete at Ohio State. So what he did in this NFL Combine isn't all that surprising for Ohio State fans. Now, it is a little more surprising he did as well as he did. I knew he would do really well, but not super surprising. But Michael, as we all know, there were times, even this past season, he looked like a fish out of water in coverage. And like I said, the NFL Combine does not capture football instincts, and the guy just never had football instincts. Arvell Reese, monster numbers, I believe, at the Combine as well. I mean, you reference his 40. He's 6'4" and I think a quarter height. But what did Arvell Reese even do in the second half of last year, man? I don't know he ever did anything. And the fact of the matter is, these guys may, you know, be really, really fast track guys and, you know, really, really fast on a track environment. But especially Alex Styles, like, he never really looked overly fast on a football field, man. I can't pinpoint it, but you can be fast on a track, but that doesn't mean you're going to be fast on a football field. And I think that's where a lot of the instincts take part, and you move with a more authoritative pace to yourself on the football field, where Alex Styles always seemed like he was kind of just out there. I mean, yeah, he racked up a lot of tackles in his final season, but like I said, where did he ever make any plays in coverage? It seemed like when teams threw on him, they usually completed passes. I don't remember him ever making any plays in coverage as a linebacker. You think a linebacker is 6'4", running a 4.47 is going to make some pass deflections, some interceptions. The only interception I can remember him ever making at Ohio State was on the deflection against Wisconsin. So go ahead.
Here's what I think, Jay. I think you've got a really big guy who has incredible straight on speed and has incredible explosiveness upward, you know, to have a 43.5-inch vertical leap. And I think that is part of what is not always quantified is, you know, a 4.46 from a 6'5", 245-pound guy with the type of hip structure and gait that he has, and the way he's able to turn that big body with the level of quickness that body's able to operate in small space is drastically different from a guy who's 5'11 and a half, 195 pounds, and runs that same 4.4, 540, but is extremely quick. They're just going to move on the football field differently than the guy with that same 40 time. And so, you know, going up against some of those quicker wide receivers, I think that he did, you know, at times, it's not that he didn't run with them, it's that he would just lose them because they would make moves with the, you know, with their quickness. And, you know, the other thing about the combine is, Jay, is, you know, guys like Jerry Rice are the number one example. They said that he wasn't fast enough. That's why he fell down in the draft as far as he did. But yet on the football field, I've Googled a whole lot of Jerry Rice highlights where nobody catches him. And he runs like not like 20 yards, like 50, 60, 70 yards. So, there is absolutely football speed and track speed.
Who would you take as a wide receiver, Jerry Rice or Randy Moss?
I would probably take Jerry Rice in his heyday just because, well, it depends. Am I starting my team with this guy or do I already have a really good quarterback? If I already have a really good quarterback, I'm taking Jerry Rice. If I'm starting my team and I'm still trying to figure quarterback out, I'm taking Randy Moss because he was just such a freak and could just go downfield and jump up and get stuff.
Right. Okay. I was just curious because
but if you had a quarterback, Rice just couldn't be stopped. He was a guy that you could hit 8, 9, 10 times a game. And not only could he go deep, he had all kinds of other, he to me, he was a little more versatile than Randy Moss.
I feel, again, I don't really remember Jerry Rice playing for the 49ers. I feel like my last memory of him was playing for the Oakland Raiders. And he was still good, by the way. He was
still pretty good. Yeah, he was 38.
Like he tore up by Titans in the freaking AFC Championship. Him and Jerry Porter, I think. I forget who it was.
Yeah,
I don't know. Who was the other receiver on those Raiders teams with Rich Gannon? There was Jerry Rice and somebody else. Tim Brown.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yep.
Tim Brown and Jerry Porter is like the number 3. And that was like when the Titans made the AFC Championship and got blown out.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So how tall was Rice?
6'2".
Okay, so he wasn't small. I thought he might have been like 6 feet, 6. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
He was listed at 6'2", like 185 or 90 pounds.
So yeah, so to circle back with my point here is, I mean, there is absolute truth to how fast you run at the NFL Combine and stuff. And if you're labeled as like, if you kind of look slow on a football field, like maybe you can help yourself with like the 40 time and be like, hey, I can run fast. But then it all circles back to, are you fast on a football field though? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Alex Sunny Styles, not fast on a football field, or at least he didn't stand out to me. And he never made any plays and coverage or anything. So I don't know how much this draft, I mean, I guess my question to you is, how much do you think this draft helped him? Did it help him at all? Or did people already know he was a freak athlete like me and you did know?
This is what I think. I think they knew it. And I think that they're looking at the progression he's made from his sophomore year, from the very beginning of the year to by the time the national championship run came. And then, they're comparing that with how he improved this year. And I can't say that I have a super strong opinion on that because I haven't studied, any tape specifically on him to try and figure out like how much did he or did he not improve this year. But I think teams are going to draft him on that and on the measurables. And I think he's going to go incredibly high. I'm going to be very interested to see if that, confidence is warranted and he ends up being a very good, productive NFL linebacker. I hope he does.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against the guy. Of course, I hope he does. Where do you think he's going to get taken in the draft? Because I think he was considered like a late first-round pick, but now I think he's firmly a first-round pick, but where in the draft are we looking at?
I think he goes in the top end of the draft, meaning somewhere in the top 15 picks.
Yeah, I think so too. No,
I think Arvell Reese goes definitely in the top 10. I think he could go in the top 5. Downs, some people have him going to the Bengals at 10, so he could be a top 10 pick. I don't know as a Bengals fan how I feel about that. I would love it if there's like a really good offensive lineman out there. I know they need defense, or if there was a really good defensive guy, like a guy who, if Reese or somebody fell to the 10th pick, then I think it's probably worth it at that pick to take a chance and see, can he become an edge with these type of measurables and some of the things he showed in the very limited sample size he had kind of coming off of the edge.
The thing is with Reese though, yeah, he runs a 4.46, but where is that burst? Like the first two-step, here's the thing with Reese. He did, I believe he got measured height-wise. He did the 40, but he didn't really do any of those cone drills or anything to measure suddenness and twitch. So he wasn't really a pass rusher at Ohio State. So I wonder if he really helped himself that much at all. I know a lot of people are talking about like him going in the top 5. Michael, as a Titans fan sitting there at number 4, I hope somebody takes him before us, or if he's still available, I hope we go with Ruben Bain, because Ruben Bain, in my opinion, is literally twice the player that Arvell Reese is. And I don't care about measurables or anything. Ruben Bain can physically take over a game, and he's a two-way player. He can get pressure and stop the run. Arvell Reese really wasn't a dominant run defender, and I think he was kind of a gadget player. But, every time I watch it, I'm like, what is he doing out there? He just looks like, Tarzan plays like Jane a little bit. And I'm not saying he's a soft player, but like the numbers don't back it up.
Look, I have nothing against Mel Kiper, but I don't think I don't think what he says means hardly anything anymore. I don't even know what, I know at one time he was lauded as he really knew his stuff inside and out. I don't know. I don't know if he just didn't figure out how the game changed, but I don't really put a whole lot of stock in Mel anymore. But he has Caleb Downs going number 2 overall to the Jets. Can you imagine taking Caleb Downs number 2 overall? He's a really solid, really good player. I think he's going to be a productive NFL player, maybe even a borderline Pro Bowl player at times. I don't know. We'll see. But to take him number 2 overall as a safety, I don't know. I just don't get it.
Is he on drugs? Is Mel Kiper? I don't listen to him. I haven't watched any of the really NFL, speak on ESPN or NFL Network. Every now and then I'll pull up just a mock draft. But what an idiot, man. It's like Caleb Downs is all of 6 feet tall. Let's just say for the sake of argument, and he runs a 4.4, and he probably does. But it's like, he's not even like a 6'3" guy running a 4.4 at safety and an enforcer at least, but he is only 6 feet tall and already had trouble at Ohio State, finishing tackles. He would be in, but he wasn't taking people down immediately in their tracks a lot of times either. They would bounce off of him, because I don't know that he has the mass or the size to just be taking people off their feet right away.
Well, and Caleb Downs did not go and work out at the NFL Combine, but you know who did, Jay? And we've got another Combine leader in Lorenzo Styles Jr. running a 4.27 and the fastest safety in the bunch.
Is he a safety or is he a corner? I'm pretty sure he's was a corner.
They've got him. The official NFL Combine results site has him listed as a safety for purposes of the NFL Combine. So I don't know.
Happy for the guy. He helped his draft stock. And I think he went from an undrafted to 7th round pick to arguably being drafted in round 5. But Michael, this is another example of a guy that never once showed me he is that fast on a football field. I'm like, congrats. You ran a 4.27. I'm happy for you. It looks great, and it is great. But where was that speed ever at Ohio State, Michael? Because every time we saw him, he was getting beaten coverage. He wasn't a great tackler. He didn't really flash the speed at Ohio State. Hell, remember when the Ohio wide receiver caught that pass over him and he could not recover to catch him back in the Ohio game back in, what was that, week 3 against Ohio. He could not catch that guy. Jalen McClain had to come from the other side of the field to make the tackle. So don't tell me that this guy is a fast football player. He's not fast on the
just highlight your text.
He is not fast on the field. He just simply not.
Get your message.
Look at this,
right
Jay.
every
Speaking
time.
of strange measurables,
Download it for free.
David Igmanosin.
He's got
not
really good
incredibly
eyes.
impressive for a cornerback, but still, okay, this is fine. 4.45 is fine. He did legitimately measure in at 6'2" on the dot.
Hey,
So
Michael, I think something is playing from that. Oh, our boy Davis and Igmanosin.
Yeah, let's turn that off. How did you hear that? I didn't hear anything.
I heard it through my headphones.
No. Well, so he was 6'2" on the dot. So Ohio State continues, Jay, to be honest from what I have seen about how they list guys.
And I give them praise for that. I'm glad that we actually, for the most part, height and weight we are accurate on.
Yeah, it seems like they have an NFL standard that they're going to put you on a wall, flat-footed, not with your flip-flops on or not with your shoes on or whatever. They're going to put you on a wall, flat-footed, and that's what they're going to report. And so, he comes in at 6'2", but 4.45. But this is the surprising thing, Jay. 34-inch vertical leap. When I played football years ago, I played baseball in college, but I did consider, I trained a lot with football, and I ran about a 4.75, Jay. That would be about my median time. I was 240 pounds. My vertical was a 34-inch vertical. So at my best, at my peak. So it's surprising to me that a guy who runs a 4.45 wasn't a little more explosive in the vertical jump than that.
I don't know how to, I feel like we're getting into bro science now, I don't really know what to say to that.
It's just interesting to me that most of the guys that you see that are running 4.4s, they are up there around 40-inch vertical leaps.
Yeah.
37 and a half.
See, there it is. The volume is going again. Every time you click on one, we can hear the video of the people running 40s.
All right. Well, I won't click on them anymore then, but point is, you go down there through the list, you'll find when guys run in the 4.4s and better, typically that vertical jump is always up around that 40 or beyond. And his being south of 35 inches is that's surprising to me.
I don't know what to say to that. Well, I will say the opposite with him. Davison Igbinosun, at least, he is 6'2". Again, a 34-inch vertical versus a 40-inch vertical at 6'2". I don't put a whole lot of stock into that. The guy can play. He was the best. You want to talk about a guy that is a big-time loss for this defense, it's him. He literally took away a side of literally half the field in man coverage for Ohio State. That is a big-time loss. I don't think he's going to go any higher than the third round, unfortunately, but whoever gets him in the third round is getting a steal. Hopefully it's your Bengals or my Titans. That's all I can say about that. It looks like he ran good enough. What did you say? 4.45 for Davison Igbinosun? Yeah,
so he's right there.
That's good.
He's right there in the mix for where he should be, just nothing really above and beyond.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he'll be probably a third round pick. Really excited, whoever gets him, because he's going to start next year. Michael, I have a question for you. So Max Clare, your good old buddy Max Clare, not coming back to Ohio State next season. Everybody just sucking him off, thinking he's the greatest tight end. I never was sold on him at all. And everyone had questions about his speed because he actually is slow on a football field, right? And people like him who are slow on a football field, you should be trying to run the 40 and be like, hey, I can run fast on a football field, kind of like Lorenzo Styles did. And just at least he showed that he's fast on a track and maybe some team can think they can work with him. Max Clare did not run the 40. This is not a guy who's going to go in the top 3 rounds of the NFL draft. Why didn't he run the 40, Michael? And CJ Donaldson did not either. I don't understand if you're players that are low round draft picks able to participate in the NFL draft. That doesn't make any sense to me how you're not running the 40 at this thing. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, Will Kazmarek did run the 40, and he ran a 4.74. Not terrible for a big guy, but certainly down towards the bottom of the tight end group. But he is a guy who could play in the NFL at 270 or 275 pounds. So I don't know that his role in the NFL is greatly impacted by that 4.74. But yeah, I agree with you. Clare should have ran. I don't think Clare would have ran any better than a 4.7, to be honest with you, because he was barely swifter than Kazmarek, and maybe not any. He may have been right there. I think he's right there in that range. I don't think he would have cracked the 4.6s, but I think if he would have come and ran in that 4.6 range, even if it's a 4.67, 4.68, 4.65, I think he could have potentially helped himself. But evidently he was fearful potentially that maybe he might run a 4.81 and really hurt himself. I mean, that's the only thing I can figure.
Well, the guy isn't going to go any sooner than the 5th round as is. It's like, I just don't understand it, man. Like, you should be doing your best to. How did he even get invited is what I want to know. Like, I mean, Wilcax Merrick too, like neither one of them, like I actually think Wilcax Merrick was our better tight end last year, to be honest with you. It shows how weak our tight end room was. I really don't know how both got invited, but hey, I guess that's just the power of Ohio State having influence there. So
Jay, while we're on tight ends, how about Shadiq? 4.39 on the 40, 6'3", 241 pounds.
From Oregon, right?
Yes, from Oregon, and a 43.5-inch vertical. So 4.39 and a 43.5-inch vertical. That is a tremendous athlete at tight end.
6'3", though, is he really going to be a tight end, or is he just going to be a bigger wide receiver? Because I feel like that's really undersized to be lining up, with in a 3-point stance as a tight end in the NFL.
He's going to be used as a slot. He's going to be used in motion as an H-back. He will block some as a help. They're not going to line this guy up on a defensive end one-on-one and say, keep him off the quarterback, but he will chip block and help offensive tackle some as they kind of move his puzzle piece around. And yeah, he's mainly, of course, going to be a receiving type tight end that has a role of assisting with blocks, but they're not going to count on a tight end like this to make a whole lot of room just by themselves.
You know who he probably would remind me of is my good old buddy in Tennessee. He played for the Steelers last year. Is Jonnu Smith. He was literally the same height and weight. Jonnu was, kind of like undersized in regards to height and weight for an NFL tight end, but my God, was he explosive the ball in his hands. He could maybe be like, a player in that form if I were to, take a guesstimate right now. Michael, I know there were some other players that you were kind of confused about, like their height and weights at the NFL Combine. Maybe I misheard you. Anyone else stick out? Non-Ohio State players?
Yeah, well, there was Ty Simpson, who was always listed at 6'3" at Alabama. And Alabama has a history of doing this. Mm-hmm. And when he goes to the Combine to measure, he's only 6'1" and an eighth. So a big difference from 6'3". Not that 6'1" and an eighth is a terrible
6'1" and an eighth. That means he's 6'1" in my book.
Yeah. I mean, we said how you can kind of measure a little bit differently. Anytime I was officially measured, I was measured at 6'2" and an eighth and 6'2" and a fourth a few times. And one time I think 6'2" and 5/8. But every time it was or 6'2" and 3/8, but it was under 6'2" and a half. So I never, I never, tried to fudge anything other than that. So yeah, he's 6'1".
Why does Alabama do that? Do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. To me, what Ohio State does is so much better when you come in either dead on expectation, or even with Sonny Styles' case, you come in ahead of expectation. I think that when you come in below what you've listed at, you've hurt yourself, because now they go, oh, good. Well, we were counting on this, and now we're getting this. And so 2 inches, it sounds crazy, but in the NFL, 2 inches is a lot, especially for a guy like Ty Simpson. It's not like he's a super athlete and is going to be scrambling a lot or anything like that.
Michael, there is a player from Ohio State who I thought really hurt themselves in this combine, which is not overly surprising to me. But Carnell Tate really killed himself, measuring a smidge over 6'2". I mean, he's 6'2", kind of like, Ty Simpson 6'1". So he's not an overly large receiver. Running a 4.54. Michael, this is a player where, like the play on the field, yeah, he was good, but the problem is you kind of have to measure him against the best teams. And last year, I guess not last year, 2 years ago when we won the title, he had the security blanket of Jeremiah and Emeka Ibuka to help him out. And he was a great third wide receiver. And then this year, I thought he was always really good. But the problem is all you have to do is watch his tape versus Miami, which is, in my opinion, the best defense we played all year with the most pro players on it. And in that game, Michael, he didn't create much separation the entire game, but he short-armed some passes. He was a little soft, getting, jacked up, I believe, early in the game, and it threw him off. And he was helped out a lot by having Jeremiah Smith on the opposite field of him, and then to run a 4-5-4. He was never a player that ran away from anyone on the field. It made me very uncomfortable that people were saying he was the number one wide receiver in this draft and was going to go in the top 5. I tried to tell Titans fans, I'm like, listen, he is a good receiver, and I think he's a late first rounder, maybe early second, but my God, do not touch him in the top 10. He is not a number 1 in the NFL. He wasn't a number 1 at Ohio State. He's not a number 1 in the NFL.
Yeah. And 6'2" in the NFL is a good height for wide receiver if he was in that 4.4 range. But he was not. He was in that 4.5 range. And that's not to say that he can't be a very good, not tight end, but wide receiver. That's not to say he can't be a very good wide receiver. But he's also, I noticed he was not overly long. His arms were not overly long. They were very just kind of like moderate, So, it wasn't like he's a 6'2" guy that's got arms like a 6'4" guy. He's got a 6'2" guy and he's got arms pretty much like a 6'1" or 2 guy. And so, I think that his stock, unfortunately, is going to be hurt. I see him as a T. Higgins light, maybe at the best.
T. Higgins light. T. Higgins was 6'4".
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, T. Higgins is closer to 6'2". Let's see. Let me see the combine. Maybe you're right.
Let me see.
I'm
actually going to look at it myself.
Okay, so at the combine, he is 6'4". You're right.
Okay, yeah, I think you're thinking of your other wide receiver.
Well, Chase is only 6 foot, like 6 foot and a quarter or something.
But he's so explosive.
Yeah, he's just a different type of athlete. But I'm talking about he moves like Higgins, and that's why I called him a T. Higgins light, because I thought T. Higgins was 6'3", but he's 6'4". So T. Higgins light, and T. Higgins was a second-round pick, first pick of the second round.
And what was his 40?
Actually,
I can't find it anywhere. I don't see it.
He didn't run.
Oh, okay. He probably would have run the same as Carnell. So again, if that's the case, then Carnell should probably be a mid-second round pick.
I think that's about right.
Yeah. Yeah. So this kind of brings me back to these NFL GMs, man. Sometimes I wonder if they're just getting jobs based on their name, not on what they actually know. But that's everywhere. Like a lot of these guys fuck up so bad. And the owners hire some shitty people to evaluate these players. And I'm like, man, hire me and you, right? I feel like we know more than these fucking bastards.
Well,
right?
yeah, because it's not a science. It's not like you can go to school and just like do it. Like you either recognize things, and of course you can learn things along the way, but you either recognize those attributes and you recognize that potential, or you don't. And not all scouting departments are created equal. Not all scouting departments are given the same resources. The Cincinnati Bengals have the worst resource scouting department in the NFL. And it shows with their drafting because you got other teams that are spending 3 times, 4 times more than that and having 3 or 4 times as many scouts as they have. So you're exactly right. These teams are as good as the people that they have evaluating the talent and with the resources that they have devoted to having quality people evaluating talent.
You know what? And the one last thing I want to say about the NFL draft before we switch subjects here is obviously we have a lot of people coming back at said position next year. But I guess my question to you is, of the Ohio State offensive linemen in 2025, do you think any one of them would have been given an NFL combine invite to this combine?
Of 2025?
Yeah, so the Ohio State lineman this past season, the line that got shredded by Indiana and Miami. Would any one of those guys, let's say let's just say they were all seniors, would any one of them have been invited to the combine, do you think?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean,
That's really scary.
I mean,
for you to think that much about it is a real problem.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly probably there's a couple of guys that are going to get invited, but I mean, certainly there's no guys that were going to be anywhere in the top end of this draft, and by that I mean the first 3 or 4 rounds. So yeah, that's not great.
And it comes back to this point, man. And it's like I feel like I'm like kind of like protecting Ryan Day here, and it makes me so sick to defend that scumbag. It really does. But look at our offensive personnel in 2025, man. It wasn't very good. You look at the offensive line, not a single one or a top 3 round material. You look at CJ Donaldson as like our primary starting back. He's not going to go in like the top 3 or 4 rounds. Bo Jackson, that's to be determined. You have Carnell Tate, who underperformed. You have a Julian game manager saying the entire offense is just built around one guy. And for an offensive mastermind, supposedly like Ryan Day, to have such shitty talent on offense, is really concerning. Right?
Yeah. There definitely was a big, I think that
the tight end room sucked.
Compared to 2024, it was a big drop off. I think compared to a lot of other teams in the country, even though it was a big drop off, it was, other than the offensive line, I think it would be considered good. But the offensive line was subpar, and running back was Bo Jackson's good. It's just that we could use something else. We could use another dynamic as well, and we didn't really have that last year. And so, next year is going to be interesting as well. But Jay, something that I saw that kind of caught my attention is, you remember back in the old days when it was always thought that a quarterback had to be 6'4"? Like that was the standard when I was growing up, is the quarterback was 6'4". Well, 12 of the 16 quarterbacks that worked out at the combine were under 6'4", and 8 of those 16 were under 6'2". I mean, under 6'3". I'm sorry. And then there was several that were 6'2", Luke Altmaier from Illinois and a couple others. There was a few that were 6'1", and then there was Pavia, who gained an 1/8 of an inch in this particular measurement from 5'9" and 7/8 to 5'10" on the dot. So, certainly things are changing at the quarterback position, with a lot of guys, with mobility becoming a premium. Guys that can move, guys that can navigate the pocket, guys that can step up in the pocket, slide in the pocket. The game's changed over the last 40 years. That's what I'm saying.
That doesn't sound too good for Julian Sand next year, who may go undrafted because he can't move at all of 6'1".
Yeah. I mean, if you're 6'1", you need to be able to move a little bit.
He can't move at all.
6'1" is not a limiting factor in the NFL anymore if you can move, but you have to be able to navigate the pocket. Now that there's hope for guys, because Drew Brees learned to do it at 6 foot, and he ran like a 4.9 940 or something. So he wasn't real swift, but he learned to be very good navigating that pocket, stepping up in that pocket, sliding in that pocket. But, I agree, Julian Sand's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, no. So that does it for the NFL Combine. I may need to rage a little bit, Michael.
All right.
So there are two things that made me really upset over the weekend. Number one, as we all know, Ohio State basketball, I want them to lose every game. They did get blown out by Iowa midweek this past week, which was good. The problem is they played the Purdue Boilermakers, and I said it, I think on another show, I'm like, Purdue's not very good, and they play a lot of small, unathletic white guys. And that's exactly what they are as a team. Ohio State won today. They kind of beat Purdue's ass a little bit, and Purdue was really exposed. And that, of course, I'm really mad about that. And Ohio State has a small chance to back their way inside the NCAA tournament. But the biggest problem here is Jake Diebler is probably returning. I haven't really pivoted off that. I've always been of the belief he is coming back, but it is for the better of the program that he gets fired. And that's why I've been cheering against them every single game.
Jay, hold on. There's an alarm going off in my house here. Let me turn this thing off so I keep hearing it dinging through the side of my ear, and then I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. So everyone that's here, the biggest problem with Ohio State basketball is, obviously, like I was saying, we won today, and the problem is there's, Jake Diebler is going to be coming back. And since he is coming back, it's like we are looking at another year of just lame duck, fake ass bullshit that just the fan base just does not care about. The fan base is just, nobody cares about like this program, and to beat a team like Purdue, who in my opinion kind of sucks. Purdue is just so limited athletically. I think, as a Big Ten fan, I think they're a threat to lose in round one. Matt Painter is a good, not great coach that does a terrible job at recruiting. Purdue is just, they're not a good team, and they are of the, they're exactly what I said. They're a slow Big Ten team, and the Big Ten is just not very good. And, it kind of got proved today. But where I get really upset, Michael, and where I really get upset here is that our fucking fan base rushed the court after they beat Purdue. They actually rushed the court today, beating a god-awful shitty team like fucking Purdue. Are you out of your fucking minds?
All right,
our program has fallen the fuck off so bad, I was about to fucking die.
Jay, let's give Purdue even more credit. Let's be more whatever. We're going to be more liberal with our praise of Purdue. We're just going to say they're a good team. They're a top 10 team. Like they're not number one. They're not defending national champions that are undefeated. They're ranked 8th. Okay.
I don't know how they did win some big out of conference games, man, but they just don't pass the look test.
Well,
I always said, like Duke and Michigan pass the look test, Purdue doesn't.
What I'm trying to say is, let's say they are a legitimate 8, 9, 10 type team in the country. That's still not a good sign of Ohio State basketball that beating a top 10 team now means you rush the court.
Yes, I think it's a mix of the fan base is so starved for any kind of success, but they are using their excitement in the wrong areas. I think if they were to beaten like a team like Michigan a couple weeks ago at home, by all means, rush the court. Michigan, I believe at the time was number 1. And Michigan is a legit top 4 team. But as I said, I believe last week or 2 weeks ago, they are not a top 2 team. I would say Florida.
We got a challenging comment here that I'm not a big fan of. Downs is a 2-time All-American, Big Ten Player of the Year, Lott, Thorpe winner, SEC Freshman of the Year, but he's just a good player. That's exactly right. That's all he is a good player. He's a good player. At some games, he's a really good player. But I don't think he's a perennial Pro Bowl type player. He doesn't have the measurables. He's small. He's not incredibly twitchy or fast. He didn't go run the 40. If he was a 4.3 guy, he's going to run the 40. He didn't. He's a good player. And we will see next year. I think we're going to see that Caleb Downs isn't a god in the backfield. He's a very good player that was at Alabama who was hyped out of this world through ESPN, Nick Saban, and the SEC machine. And when he came to Ohio State, he was always carried that steam with him. His numbers were never anywhere close to his freshman year. I know the defense changed. I know things changed, but he was a guy that was as good at 19 as he was at 21. And so I don't see him going with a whole lot of upside. He's a good player. That's my take on him. So when you talk smack in the chat, like, we're always really nice on here, but like when you talk smack and I don't think you got a whole lot of backing for it, then I flat out disagree with that. But yeah, time will tell.
Well, I know where I stand there. Last subject, Michael. As we all know, I was wearing the Scream mask at the beginning of the show, and I don't know if I told you, but yes, I did end up going to go see that movie last night. And quick movie review. In the moment, it's like it's hard to really understand. It's like actually, you may not know. I don't know, but like I am such a huge fan of that franchise. Like I kind of grew up on it, right? Mm-hmm. Like it kind of started before my time, and then it kind of like was, on the back end was during my time, and now it's like past my time, but it's still there. So I don't really know. It's kind of always been there. But be that as it may, this movie last night, I thought, now that I'm really thinking about it, it probably was the worst movie in the entire franchise. And nothing about it made sense. And, I kind of blame your sisters, because I watched their little spoiler-free review, and they both liked it a lot. And I'm like, I respect these two women. They know what they're talking about and this, that, and the other. But I go in the theater yesterday, and I'm like trying to find spots where I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's good. And it really wasn't there, man. The movie was really disappointing, and it didn't make any fucking sense. Not a lick of it made any fucking sense, man. I mean, I don't think you've really watched those movies, though, have you?
No. I've watched like one and maybe two, and that's about it. That's where I kind of drifted off. So, I mean, the first one was when I was a freshman in high school. And it was, it was huge. I remember being in the movie theater. You don't hardly see stuff like this anymore because the movie theaters tend to be a lot smaller today.
I feel like these movies were more at your time than mine.
Yeah. I mean, the end of it. Yeah.
Before your time. Still.
At least the first one was, the first one, I was a freshman in high school. I remember going to this old school, huge theater where probably 400 people fit in there. And the place was packed to see this movie. And I remember being like pretty, I thought it was pretty intense as a freshman in high school. Scream 1.
It's a great movie. And, we actually rewatched like the first 3 Scream movies in the last week and a half. And, I hadn't seen Scream 1 in forever. But the fact of the matter is, it's like I always used to think like it was a good one, but I think there were others that were better. But fuck, man, rewatching Scream 1, I'm like, that was probably the best one. Which is crazy to think. I thought the other ones might have been better, but nope.
Oftentimes when you catch lightning in a bottle, that's the case. The first one is the best one, but not always. Not always. There's exceptions to that. There's plenty of exceptions to that, but I'd say more times than not, when you catch lightning in a bottle, the first one, can be the best one.
Okay, so let's get into spoilers. I'm giving everyone just FYI, if you don't want to hear anything about the movie, tune out or cover your ears or whatever. I'll go into some spoilers about why the plot didn't make sense. In 3, 2, 1. Michael, you're never going to see this movie, right?
No, spoil it. Spoil away.
Yeah, okay. Well, number one, dude, the pacing was so fucking bad. And it was like, usually there's like pent up like drama type stuff. And I don't like drama, but like the movie just kind of kicks off and like Ghostface, like the new killers are like automatically at Sydney's house. Like cops are going in, like trying to find Ghostface at one point in the movie, and they don't check the attic. And like they're still close by, and Ghostface is like in their house, like tormenting them and this, that, and the other, and comes down, and there are 3 people in the house, and none of that made sense. The killer's motives at the end of the movie turns out, again, like it was some random bitch that was. So I guess Sidney Prescott in that universe wrote a book basically to kind of clear the air about like her life. This person was a fan of hers, and was like kind of immersed herself in like Sydney's trauma, right? And basically said like, Sydney, that is your life, and this, that, and the other. And then for Sydney to not appear in Scream 6 and to go into hiding and be a coward and this, that, and the other, it kind of drove her crazy that she decided to kill her own husband because she was being abused by him. She got away with it, and then wanted to kill Sydney, but then elevate her daughter to be the final killer. And it's like, who the fuck are you? And why are you tied to this? And it's just, it didn't make any sense, man. Doesn't that sound fucking just off the wall?
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, talk about lost the plot.
Literally this movie. So I will say this: a lot of people ripped on Scream 5 and Scream 6. I love those movies personally, but at the end of Scream 5, the killers actually, like, now that you look back on it, like they actually had a pretty good motive. And the fact of the matter is, Scream 7 is everything that like the killers in Scream 5 were mad about. They were so mad that the movies had gotten so bad and lost their originality and just completely dissed the fans. And they took it personal and basically went on a killing spree. Now, I'm not saying I'm about to go on a freaking Richie, Scream 5 killing spree to freaking like get the movies back on track. But that is like kind of the joke. Like Scream 7 kind of became the stab movies that they're, it's kind of like, in their universe, like the stab movies tell the story of Sydney. It's like a movie within a movie.
Yeah. And
like he's mad at the stab movies, whereas like, people in reality are now mad at the Scream movie. So that makes it kind of ironic. Yeah. But, and then to add on to that, like, I mean, let's be real, man. The entire point of Scream are the amazing phone calls, and the phone calls are great. That was not in this movie. They didn't really talk on the phone at all. It was just like kind of like, and I'm a big action fan. It was just kind of a big action flick, but it didn't make any sense. And I'm like, what the fuck?
You know what? You know what stuff like this tells me, Jay? Like Scream 7 and a lot of good shows, like as they go along, like season 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like as they start trying to wrap it up, it shows me that humans, like as a species, we're just only so creative. Like we're just only able to come up with so much great stuff. And after that, it just all kind of starts to get a little bit shittier and shittier. And it seems like that's the case with the Scream movies as well, as they're kind of rounding out here. Hopefully, probably they're going to reboot it someday. Don't you think they'll reboot it someday? Like totally reboot it?
Well, that's kind of what Scream 5 was. They called it a requel. It wasn't a sequel, but it's not a reboot either. It was kind of a requel, and they kind of like play on that some. It's like you got to have a mix of originality, but also some new stuff, but not too new, because then you're going to piss people off. Like, the girl in that movie kind of goes into a little montage of like the requel thing. And she's right. Like she actually made some really good points, and I agree with everything she said. That's not what Scream 7 was. Scream 7 was, I don't know, man. It was kind of like its own movie. And the problem is, Michael, with this movie, there was a lot of drama surrounding it, because they did have like another should I say trilogy plan, like 5, 6, and 7 were supposed to be like their own trilogy. The problem is the lead actress in Scream 5 and 6 got fired because she had some like pro-Palestine comments or something like that. They got her removed. And then Jenna Ortega also stepped out. So then they had to like scramble and try and figure out like a plot. And I do wonder, it's like, did AI fucking write this? Which is kind of ironic, because AI is kind of the villain in the movie as well, because they were using, instead of like the actual Scream killer, like, they were actually using AI to simulate like past killers to kind of fuck with Sydney. Like, killers from previous movies, they use AI to kind of fuck with her.
Talk about an interesting conversation. You know, AI is coming into everything. And so AI was a plot theme in this movie.
It was. It actually was. They used it. I don't know. Like one of the dudes is like, "Oh, I was a grad." And then that's the thing too with the killers, man. Usually in the killers in the other movies, like they're around, and you're maybe it could be them, but you're not sure. These people were never around, and it's like, who the fuck are you? Like, what? Why are you here? It is kind of like what it was. Like they were never in the movie, and they had no. It's there was nothing centered around them with the plot. It was so fucking bad. It was so bad.
You know, I don't know if I know we're kind of like at this point we're just kind of sailing off into the sunset. You know, we're an hour in and we're getting into movies and writing and everything like that. But it was interesting to me. Rogan had a couple of guests in the past couple of weeks. For those of you that may watch Rogan occasionally, which is about what I do occasionally. And Ben Affleck was one of them. And then another one, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a former Hollywood director and writer. He'd written several movies and he directed several movies. And anyhow, he was kind of piggybacking on some of what Ben Affleck had said about why modern writing and movies just tend to be so disappointing. And so that was interesting to listen to Ben Affleck's take on that, and then this former Hollywood director's on that.
Was it Ben Affleck and Matt Damon?
Yeah, I think they were both on.
Okay, I thought I did listen to that one some. Yeah, I like Ben Affleck personally, not his politics, but him.
Right. Yeah, I think he's a pretty good guy. I mean, I know he like gets a little wild with his politics. That like kind of, and I'm not into his passions politically, but I do think he's sincere with it. I just think he's sincerely a little bit misled.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then I feel like there was something else about the movie that pissed me off. No, what was it? Yeah, so AI was a big thing. Yeah, the killers didn't make sense. The plot was all over the place. It didn't make sense. I guess the only good thing about the movie was like, you know what I was going to say? You know what makes Ghostface so interesting, Michael?
What?
And I think you didn't even know this, and until I literally told it before you show. Ghostface, like the figure, is literally played by 3 different people. So you have the person that is the stunt man in the outfit.
Okay.
You have the actual actor who is the killer. Then you actually have the voice actor. And it is not an actual like voice changer. It's somebody acting. It's somebody like changing his voice.
It's somebody who just has that type of voice and is manipulating their own voice that way. It's not that the killer who's always had, which the actor in the movie always has a drastically different voice than the voice. Yeah. So I did not know that until you told me that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because a lot of horror movie icons and stuff like that, it's like played by one person. It's, they're saying the lines and whatever, but Ghostface is literally 3 different people, which kind of makes it more interesting, because it's crazy to think. And I don't know. I guess that's another. I mean, Ghostface always in those movies, it's a real person, but they have the strength of like 2 men and like ninja skills to be able to disappear in plain sight. It doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of the aura around it. And one more thing that pissed me off, they had like this like Scream memorabilia stuff that was supposed to be at every theater, like popcorn boxes and stuff. Like I thought like you were going to get your popcorn filled with it and handed it to you, but it turns out like they were sold separately. Dude, motherfucker, they were sold out 2 days before the movie came out. We went last night, which is like day 3 of it being out, and they were all sold out. They said they were sold out the day they hit the shelves.
Wow.
Yeah. That shows you like people. I mean, I guess they were considered like limited edition and all that, but by the saving grace, it turns out Walmart had them all in stock. I just had to buy them online, and they'll be at my house in a couple weeks.
Well, nice. So, what do you give the movie, Jay? Scale? No, not scale 1 to 10. Scale of 5 stars. What do you give the movie?
Oh man, 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. It was bad. It was. I mean, like I'm watching it in the theater, and I'm like, I'm like trying to find ways to like elevate it in my mind. I'm like, I really just didn't come out here with one of my favorite franchises of all time and just, like look to hate on it. I'm trying to find a place to love it, not hate it,
Do you remember the show Lost? You remember that show?
Yeah, my wife is obsessed with it, but I keep telling her I'm not going to watch it because I've heard it just completely just tanks, and I just have no desire to do that to myself.
It's an example of they lost the plot, and they just.
Did you watch all of it?
I watched all of it because I watched it while it was like as it was coming out. Like it would come out, and I would go buy that season's DVDs so that I could. That's back when we had to have DVDs.
Yeah,
I'd go buy that season's DVDs, and me and my wife at the time would watch all of them, as we could in the evening, and yeah. So, but yeah, they just they couldn't wrap everything up. The writing became a mess. They created too many open-ended things.
Well, why did it fail? I'm confused. Like, did the writers change? Did they run out of time? Like, I don't understand.
They never ran out of time. I think they just created plot lines that they never came up with any kind of conclusion for. So they just kind of left it open-ended. And then I will admit, over time, the ending has grown on me, but the ending was not necessarily the most satisfying for a lot of people either. Much like the ending of The Sopranos, which was another great show that ripped out of the gate for several seasons and kind of, lagged a little bit at times as time went on. And then when it was time to wrap it up, naturally, some people are going to like it. A lot of people are not going to like it. And a lot of people didn't like the way that one ended either, which was, of course, an iconic mobster
Game
franchise.
of Thrones was like that too.
Yep, Game of Thrones. A lot of shows.
Did you watch that?
I've never watched that. No,
Yeah.
I've not. But
You're
I did
not
watch
missing anything. It was good for a while, but again, that's a show I don't even talk about it anymore in everyday life.
Yeah, I don't really plan to ever watch it. It sounds
don't waste your time.
It
Like I'm not going to waste my time with Lost.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I tell you what, you're really going to enjoy it. If your wife loves it, you would really enjoy it for a few seasons, and it never gets terrible. It just gets not quite as satisfying as you thought.
I just remember there being like black smoke with the monster, and it turns out to be some kind of like god guy. I did watch a little bit of it, but that's all I really know.
Well, there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Michael, man, how about we get the fuck out of here, man?
All right, let's do it.
All right, everybody.
right.
Not much else. I guess I didn't rage as much as people would have liked, but I just couldn't get myself there.
All right, later.